Free agent offensive picks for the Bears next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. Happy bye week, everybody. This is a little different, and honestly, this is getting me excited for the off season. Just because I love our off season shows. I love what we do with this. It's some of the best work. I think we do the best work in the industry. So you want to like, you want to subscribe, you want to rate 5 stars. I'm excited for this. PayPal, how are you feeling, my friend?
Oh, Brad, I'm so excited. Yeah, I actually just can't stop smiling because I look at my list and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like just thinking about these people in Bears jerseys gets me just so pumped. And also, again, Brad, we get a free win this week, which is always a good feeling. A free win, I'll take it any way we can.
Free win, but I will say this. We all need to be rooting for the Rams, and we all need to be rooting for the Broncos this weekend. If they lose, we drop to the 3rd pick or the 4th pick. Remember, we've talked about that, the strength of schedule. So make sure to root for Russell Wilson and make sure to root for whoever they're throwing out there.
It'll be hard to watch those games, Brad. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to watch the box score or throw on Red Zone. I might get a free trial of some streaming service just so I can see all the games together. But PayPal and I today, we are going to be breaking down our top 5 free agent fits for the Chicago Bears on the offensive side of the ball. So what we're going to be doing is just kind of going back and forth. PayPal also wants to start with the first. It does seem like a good idea. So we're going to go with our number 1 fit first, and then we're just going to kind of go down our list. So for those watching on YouTube, feel free to comment who you really want to see the Bears sign. And I also want to mention too, we're not just going to go who's great, right? You already know Saquon Barkley is a free agent. You already know a lot of these people that are free agents. We're going who could be a good fit, who could be a good bargain, and kind of look at some of these. And I guarantee you, we're not going to hit every single player that you want because we're only going to do 5. So let me know what you think, who you want to see the Bears end up signing. But PayPal, let's get this show on the road. I am really excited to see your number 1 pick. Who is your number 1 fit?
And I know you might, because, Brad, I think what we do have to take into account is, yes, like what we think is, what positions we need at each, for offense and for defense. So
yeah,
I might have mine a little bit more different than yours, but here's my first one, Brad. We'll see if you like it.
Okay.
My number 1 is Juju Smith-Schuster.
Number 1.
My number 1
number
is Juju
1.
Smith-Schuster.
Shut down the pod. Shut down the pod.
You can boo. You can do whatever you want, Brad. I knew you would not like this at all. But my first reason, Juju Smith-Schuster, do you know who he played with? He played in Pittsburgh with a little-known guy named Chase Claypool. So I'm calling the Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster reunion. That would be so fun. And hopefully they kind of leave out the TikTok dances, and maybe they do bring the TikTok dances back. Honestly, anything to just keep vibes up and keep the team spirit up. I think their dynamic would be a lot of fun for this offense, Brad. And hey, he just does everything. I mean, he's not the best like receiver. He's not the most amazing run blocker, but he does both. And I think that's what's really important for this offense, is that you're able to also do the pass and the running game, because some of these receivers I was looking at, it's like they're not really run blockers. They're mainly just receivers.
Yeah, I'm looking. I have a list of wide receivers. So for those that don't know, if you know the people off the top of your head, kudos. But some of the free agent wide receivers: Nelson Aguilar, Paris Campbell, DeAndre Carter, DJ Chark, Randall Cobb, Mecole Hartman, Mac Hollins, Juwan Johnson, Jarvis Landry, Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers, Sterling Shepard, Trent Sherfield, Juju, and Zacchaeus. So you're right. I do agree. I think that there's not a lot of good blockers, but what would you sign him to a multi-year deal or just a 1-year deal? Like, what's your thought as GM?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Man, so Chase Claypool. What is his deal at? Is he 2-year or
He's got after this year, he's got 1 year left. Like
he's
next
got 1 year left? So honestly, I think you gotta do the 1 year again.
year
Just
might
to
be nice.
see how he plays out. I mean, that's just what Kansas City did with him, is kind of see how he does. Um,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Just because also too, you don't know if you could get better receivers in the next free agency, or because I think we can all agree this isn't the best free agency draft class for wide receivers. But Brad,
Agreed.
I I really like the idea. Even if they're not the best receivers, having at least 3 receivers that just spread, the defense,
I like
and
that.
they can't just focus on one person. They gotta
Okay.
focus on Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and Juju, you
Okay.
know? Like, it's
Yeah.
not the scariest group, but at least it's 3 guys that you gotta watch out for
I
rather
like that.
than 1 person.
And the hardest part about this whole us trading back and forth is I I want to say so much, but I just have to wait. I just have to wait my turn. I just have to bite my tongue. And you know what? Now it's going to be my turn.
Yes, it
And
is.
I see Reload out in the comments saying we need a new center. Sam Musty sucks. You better believe my number one free agent fit is Elton Jenkins.
Yep. I
Biggest
saw it coming, Brad.
You saw it. Everyone saw it from the thumbnail too that watches out on YouTube. So the thumbnail was Elton Jenkins. Elton Jenkins to me is the number one free agent fit. You're talking about the system with Green Bay. That's just an easy point to make, right? Then also my favorite thing is he is a GM's dream of a player, right? So let's say we just add him, right? Forget everybody else. We just add Elton Jenkins. He can play center, he can play guard, he can play tackle, and that gives you flexibility. If we trade back, or if a good tackle prospect falls to us, or a good center prospect that we could pick up in the second round is available, we get one of those good second round centers. Now you go, all right, Elton Jenkins, we just need you at right tackle, right? We need you. And even if you have a good tackle and a good center, and like Lucas Patrick looks great, you can say, all right, Cody Whitehair. If you cut Cody Whitehair, I don't have the numbers exactly in front of me, but I thought it was around $10 million you would save. Like you would save a good chunk of change.
Wow.
You could get out of his contract next year, is what I remember seeing. So to me, you could do something like that. You could get rid of him and move on from him and still have Elton Jenkins. My biggest concern, though, is he is a little banged up. He's coming off of an ACL injury. Just have to kind of monitor that a little bit. But number one.
I want to say stuff too, but I don't know how much I can say. But like,
If he's your number two, you can just go right into it.
There's a lot of Packers that just seem very interesting, or like honestly, good fits in in this offense. Just when you think of Lou Getsy, it's like, and they have a lot. Like the Packers have a lot of free agents this year, so it'd be interesting if we just like get a lot of Packers. It's like I kind of like it because it's like, all right, haha, we got your guys, but also but you're also like, okay, they're Packers, like they got that stench on them,
Yeah, I feel you there. And also, just so people know out there, some free agent offensive linemen: Kelvin Beachum, Garrett Bradbury, Orlando Brown Jr., Jack Conklin, Nate Davis, Andre Dillard, David Edwards, George Fant, Cameron Fleming, Elton Jenkins, Caleb McGarry, Connor McGovern, Mike McGlinchey, Ethan Pochich, Dalton Reisner, Wes Schweitzer, Isaac Suomalu, Jawan Taylor, Billy Turner, and Isaiah Wynn. That's not all of them, but there's a lot of offensive linemen that
There's
are
some good ones, and that's the thing where it's like you want to be mad having any of those, but he's definitely the number one guy when you just talk about anything.
Yeah, I like the versatility. I love the
Yeah, the
versatility.
versatility. He's not like overpriced. He yeah, it's awesome. But
Yeah. PayPal, you're number 2.
yeah, my number 2. And again, I think you'll be very confused that this is my number 2.
Okay.
But I have Robert Tonyan. And that is because I think it would be awesome to have a good number 2 tight end that fits obviously the Lugetzi system. He's a Chicago boy, just like Cole Kmet.
He is. Yeah.
Great chemistry there. And he can do both sides of the field. Like I've been saying, he's a great receiver. He's a good threat in the red zone, as well as he can block. So that you can kind of sense my theme, Brad, on this offense. And it's like, if you fit one of the guys or if you fit the system, and the most important thing for me is he's going to be cheap enough where it's like, okay, you don't mind him being a backup or like a second tight end.
Yeah. And I want to bring this up too, just for anybody that's listening or watching. I know that cause some people might be like, well, we have money, just spend it. I think especially with Ryan Poles, you want to be smart about it, right? You don't want to win the lottery and spend it all on, cars and houses, and then you lose it all in a year type of thing. You want to be smart with it. You want to be smart with your money. Just in case if anyone's curious, why are we talking money? But PayPal, are you going to say Yash Nijman next? Then the Packer as well.
Yeah,
going there.
Yeah, I think with that too, Brad, with the money thing is I don't know about you, but seeing that this offense is scoring points this year and is not the strong, I wouldn't say strong suit, but one of the better team sides of our team rather than our defense. We got to focus our money more on the defense rather than this offense.
I see that, and honestly, I really like the idea. He was actually my 6th guy, so I totally agree with Robert Tonyan just because I feel like he's good enough to be your backup, right? He's a clear upgrade over a Ryan Griffin, but he's bad enough that he doesn't create any hard feelings against Kmet. I love that. I really do, because also I think too, let's go to just the tight ends. If someone's looking for us to upgrade at tight end, it's going to be difficult, right? Jordan Atkins, Evan Ingram, Mike Gesicki, Austin Hooper, Hayden Hurst, Foster Moreau, Dalton Schultz, Adam Shaheen, Irv Smith, and Robert Tonyan. And you look at not Adam Shaheen, you look at Mike Gesicki or Evan Ingram. They're receivers. They are not blockers. They are not good fits in this system. So I agree with you there with that. And Dalton Schultz is probably going to be a little too expensive.
Oh yeah. He was projected at 12 million. I'm like, or not.
Okay, Dalton.
I think if Cole Kmet didn't show promise this year, I think we would be maybe looking towards a Dalton Schultz, but Cole Kmet, he has shown that he has that chemistry now with Justin Fields, and he's a very reliable receiver.
Yeah, I agree there. So I'm up next, and this is always hard because I'm going to go back to the offensive line. Because with me, I'm going with Mike McGlinchey. I love me some Mike McGlinchey. I love Mike McGlinchey because Mike McGlinchey, I'm looking at the spot rack number right now, 10.7 million that you can do, right? That's not terrible for a person of his caliber. You can get him for about 4 years or so. What I like about it is you're getting a starting right tackle that gives you above average, gives you really good production, and he's also built for that wide zone scheme. And like I said, he's a lot cheaper than these other players, but it's not cheap. We need to stop saying cheap. He is a great deal that you can get, or at least a projected great deal from Spot Rack at about 10 million. And that's where, to me, I know some people might be like, what about Orlando Brown because of the Chiefs connection? I don't like Orlando Brown because he didn't look too good this year, and it's 20 million. Give me half of that for Mike McGlinchey at plug and play right tackle for the next 4 years.
I love it. Yeah, I know. I saw that too, and it's like he would be nice, and then yeah, Mike McGlinchey, perfect. And I
Yeah.
know Brad, and I love that we can. I have a different like. You can see that I am not focused on this offensive line. Just I think they've been doing well.
You
You
are
know
a
what I
fan.
mean?
You are a fan of
I'm a
it.
fan of this offensive line. I think they're just growing. And I really liked what I saw out of Alex Leatherwood this last weekend. So
True. And that's where too, this offensive line, I don't think we draft any people, right? I
yeah, I'll
really
agree.
I think we're just gonna like sign. I think a lot of people think we're just gonna overhaul the O line. I could see us just signing one or two people and that's it, right?
Hmm.
And I think
Yeah,
that's
that's all you need.
yeah, and with this too, just with this exercise, we're not saying sign everybody that we say. It's just more of who we think would be a good fit. I think McGlinchey slides right in, plays very well for this team. But PayPal, who's your number 3? Are you going to continue this Packer trend? Like that's what I'm curious about. Like, is this just going to be
I,
based on your
I
face?
I am continuing this Packer trend. Fun fact: it's not going to stop.
Oh my
Jam-
God. How much more
Jamal
do they have?
Jamal Williams is my running back that I say that we're going to sign. Because I imagine Dave Montgomery, just from looking at his projected salary, he's going to be paid $9 million. So I don't think we should really be paying that much for a running back who, honestly, his best production value is his pass blocking, and he's just decent runner. But we have an incredible backup. So Jamal Williams, I think, would fit that Dave Montgomery role like perfectly, where he's not gonna be paid too much because he's getting a little bit older, but he kind of is that ground and pound guy, just like Dave Montgomery, and he can pass block, and he's a Lou Getsy guy, and he just has that amazing like vibe to him. He's a great team chemistry guy. I just remember him on the Packers. Obviously, he was more sad when he was on the Packers, but he was always smiling. He was always just celebrating with his teammates, and he just seems like a great leader. I mean, we saw it again. We saw his leadership in at the Lions in the TV show. I forgot what it's called, but we
Yeah,
saw
Hard Knocks. Yeah.
in Hard Knocks just his leadership, and he's crying. He's sick of losing, so I think he'd be a great addition, Brad.
I love his energy. It reminds me
Yeah.
of Cordero Patterson. Like he's this
Yeah.
crazy dude, and I love how open he is with his love for anime. Just how I don't know if you've ever heard him say it. He's like, "Girls, you got to get yourself a nerd. Nerds can defend you. Nerds know karate." And like,
No, I've
stuff
never
like-
seen that.
he's hysterical. He's an absolute character. But I agree when you're getting down to that running back group. This is one of the deepest groups of running backs that we'll see. And Spot Rack projects David Montgomery 3 years, $30 million, so 10 million, around 10 million a year. And the running back class, Saquon Barkley, Deontay Foreman, Damian Harris, Darrell Henderson Jr., Kareem Hunt, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Rashad Penny, Samaje P. Ryan, Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders, Devin Singletary, Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson. That's not even all of them. Like that's just
crazy.
a small subset of these running backs. They're either going to be high priced or like right now it's so cheap with everything. Just yeah, I do agree with you. I have a different one, but I will bring that up.
I was waiting
later.
to see because I have like a person that I would like us to get, but he's just going to be a little bit more expensive. So
Yeah,
I'll wait till to hear what you had to say.
So my next one, I'm like kind of going back and forth with what do I want to do for number 3. I'm gonna do it this way. My number 3 is Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah,
there you go. There you go. Yeah, because my biggest thing with Juju is he's been a number 1, right? Because Jacoby Myers is somebody who's a good player. The thing I don't like is Spot Rack has him projected for 4 years, 12.5 million. I think he gets more because he is clearly Jacoby Myers is clearly the best wide receiver out here. And Juju, all the points that you made, totally agree. You got Claypool. You have the rumor that he went bowling with Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields last year.
Really?
Right? Like that was the big rumor. He's done it and he's continuing to do it. The thing that gets me scared about Jacoby Myers, why haven't you been the number one? Right. And it could just be that's how New England is. They don't really like to force feed one target. It just gets me uneasy if you're putting that much dedicated resources into a player like Jacoby Myers, who's looking for that big long-term deal. That's
Yeah.
what I get nervous about. And I like Juju also, because if you are able to get him for another 1-year deal, then, or even if it's like a couple of years, I like it because I feel you could still draft a wide receiver and see what they're capable of and
Mhm.
kind of put them into that mold. Jacoby Myers, if you're paying that high of a price, I'm not a big fan of what that would be. And that's why,
Yeah.
to me, I'm more along the sides of Juju.
It's perfect. Yeah, I love the idea of Juju number 1, um, Claypool as, like, the number 2 outside receiver, and then Mooney as the slot receiver. I think Mooney will just fit perfectly, like, between those 2 guys. Because yep, we saw it this year. We were both proven wrong. He's not a number 1, sadly, so,
Yeah, and the only other person I was kinda, like, debating on in that spot too was DJ Chark, just because he is a longer receiver and he's able to do that, but I
yeah.
would rather get someone that's a little more proven than DJ Chark, a little bit more reliable, like a Juju
Mhm.
Smith-Schuster. But PayPal, I just copied you. What are you doing for number 4? You gonna copy me at all? Is this
Hey, Brad,
stream of
yeah, we
Packers?
hey, guess what? We're going another Packer,
Yeah,
and
you got
we are copying too. So, so 2 yeses. I don't know what. Like, I didn't realize I had all these Packers till now. I was like, "There's a lot of good Packers out here," and I looked at my list. I'm like, "Oh, that's because you have all of them." So it's again Elton Jenkins.
Elton John.
Elton John.
Elton John.
No, it's Elton Jenkins. Um,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, it's Elton Rocket Man, Elton Jenkins. But Elton Jenkins, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. His salary, his versatility. The versatility is what I really like about him, just because I am more on that. We don't need a specific guy. Once Lucas Patrick is healthy at center, hopefully they'll fix things. Um, and then yeah, if Borum or Leatherwood could be that right tackle spot, and honestly, Jenkins can be that. He can be placed wherever we need. If Whitehair goes out, if he's playing better than those right tackles, Larry Borum and uh, Leatherwood, then put him there. So
Okay.
yeah, he's perfect.
All right. Yeah, like exactly. I totally agree. Obviously, he was my number 1. I really like him because you have that versatility. Eric Sullivan in the comments saying, yeah, center, tackle, or guard. And that's where, like, yeah, when we talk about Elton Jenkins, he can do it all, right? And
Mhm.
there's a lot of good talent out there. And so that's actually where I'm actually going to keep it on the O line. My third O
Class.
lineman as a
Oh,
top 5 offensive fit. I like Bradley Bozeman. I've always
yeah?
liked him. It might be my Brad on Brad bias, but but I like Bradley Bozeman. He is a younger center, relatively speaking. There's some better centers out there, but I really like him. He's always proven himself, and he's 28 years old. Probably get him. Spot Rack is saying about 12. That's a little high for me, but you could get maybe like a 3-year deal. So that's where overall, and yet again, we're not saying sign Bozeman, sign McGlinchey, sign Elton Jenkins. I'm just saying I like Bozeman as one of those players that you could potentially add in. One of those guys, because I like Bozeman. He can be a center, but also he has versatility as a guard. So
Mhm.
if everything goes bad, you just shift him over to a guard, or let's say Lucas Patrick. By everything goes bad, Lucas Patrick starts looking good, right? Lucas Patrick looks good. All of a sudden, you go, where do we put Bozeman? And now
Yeah.
Bozeman can just play like we talked about before. Bozeman could be one of your guards. And then maybe you say, do we trade a Cody Whitehair? Do we trade? Then you can save some cap and then get younger at the position. Or do we trade Tevin Jenkins because for some sick and twisted reason, the Bears regime still hates him?
Exactly. And yeah, I think we just got to reiterate it. Just versatility. I just think you can't have too many good offensive linemen. Like, we saw how many injuries we had at the
Yeah.
offensive lineman spot, so it's like it helps having those guys. So,
All
Brad,
right.
are you ready for my number 5 pick?
I swear to freaking God, if it's another Packer.
You are correct.
Oh, you
Brad.
gotta be kidding me.
We got
How's
another
there
Packer.
5?
4 out of 5 Packers. This is Allen Lazard. This is obviously if we don't get Juju, I think we get Allen Lazard. Obviously we'll get the connection, but then he is one of the best run blockers in the league. So if we got him, Chase Claypool, and Darnell Mooney blocking again, we know how this offense runs with these good blocking receivers. We just get big old touchdowns from Justin Fields running the ball. Yeah, I'm sorry, Brad. I know you're so disappointed with all these Packers picks.
I'm just shaking my head because it's just funny.
Yeah,
like,
but it's weird because like you obviously this is a Luke Getsy connection, but I actually like these guys. Like outside of them being Packers, like
yeah.
they actually would fit pretty well on this team. So Allen Lazard is my 5th guy in the top 5. Obviously, if we don't get Juju, he's not the most exciting guy. He's one of those guys I would still be like, if we scored a touchdown with him, I would still be kind of like, that stenchy Packer smell.
Yeah. All right. So now there's pressure on me to not go Packers. Like I go one Packer, but I get where you're coming from. It's a scheme specific thing that you just want to get people that are familiar with it that can come in and help out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the biggest piece too, there really isn't a number 1 in this free agency. There's not.
Yeah.
They all got picked off. Like you're not going to be signing one of these people to be a number 1 receiver. That's the sad reality of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're signing at best a number 2. That's the big reason why the Bears traded for Chase Claypool, because there is nobody. There really is nobody out there at this wide receiver group like we talked about before. And so one thing I'm going to do, my fifth and final is I'm going Jerick McKinnon.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Really?
So this is it. It's not saying he's better than all these other guys. It's saying I love the fit for the Chicago Bears. Khalil Herbert, he's the best running back on the team. He's going to be the best running back moving forward. Jerick McKinnon, what does he do? He catches passes and he blocks well. He's a third down guy. So he's a perfect complement for what Khalil Herbert would be. But what I also see too is you could literally get him at a veteran minimum deal, right? So you get him veteran minimum, like $1-2 million for Jerick McKinnon. He fills in perfectly for what you need him to do. And also what I love about it, now you can just draft somebody, right? Take a flyer on someone. Tristan Ebner was supposed to be that third down guy, that specialist type of a player, but he's not that. We also have Darrington Evans, who's not terrible, but I would say, why not just try and draft someone, look the undrafted rookie free agent to see what you can do? Because what I like about signing a veteran, not only are you getting a veteran pass protector that can actually keep Justin Fields upright, you also can potentially move on from him if whoever you drafted turns out to be kind of a breakout player. So that's a big reason why I really like Jerick McKinnon, and I'm kind of going off the board with that just because I think he is a great depth piece and just complements the running back room.
I love it, Brad. That's a great pick. I really like it. Yeah, because there are a lot of like sexy running backs out there.
Yeah.
I saw Tony Pollard. I'm like, oh my God, it would be amazing if we had him. But you think about it, it's like that would not be too good of a fit. Like I don't think, and just the price tag too. It'd be way too much for a running back. Even though we do run the ball, I guess that's like what some people could argue is we do run the ball quite a bit. So like maybe we do spend a little bit more on running backs, and like less on the receivers. But
yeah. That was one of my fears too when looking at like the running backs, because even when Khalil Herbert's down, they still like the 2-back system, right? They still like to run it with 2. That's where, even though I would like to go with Jerick McKinnon, I'm more of a 1-back type of guy. So I think it might happen where the Bears end up picking maybe a Kareem Hunt, right? He's projected about $7 million. Do you get a Kareem Hunt that can kind of come in and play? Or I still have this vibe that maybe Monty ends up asking for less, right? To just kind of come back and play. And maybe he hits free agency and the Bears just sit there and they're like, we'll give you 5. We'll give you $5 million. You let me know when you want to come back. And he'll come out there and then he'll come back. Because my only fear, though, with David Montgomery, we've talked about it a lot. He is somebody who can break tackles like crazy. But the thing that's telling is when you have other running backs that get better production, even when they're starting multiple weeks, I don't care how many tackles you break. Just get yards, get production. And the thing that he's not doing is he's not performing as well as Khalil Herbert. And that's where you can't pay Montgomery. It doesn't make sense. And especially when there's all these running backs, it's just your pick of the litter. It's going to be, I think a lot of these lower tier running backs are just going to go cheap. I agree. I think that's going to be the thing. I think you could really kind of cherry pick and get some really good running backs that can kind of help mold this. So I think like the main thing is like, who like is Khalil Herbert going to be that number 1 then? Like, I think that's the thing for me. Is he going to be that number 1 where maybe he can block a little bit better? Maybe he can play on a lot more of the downs, or is he going to stay as that 2? But I think with his running production, you have to say he's a 1. Yeah, I agree. Favorite comments, Ron saying Packers are going to pick a kicker in the first round. That would be the greatest thing of all time. I might die laughing if that ends up happening. Awesome. But yeah, J-Rock makes a good point. Tony Pollard, too small for a run-heavy offense. So, so we'll see. This was our offensive segment. Literally what PayPal and I are going to do is we're actually going to record another one right after this. We won't go live. We're just going to record it, and you'll have to wait to listen to it Sunday, Saturday. I haven't decided when I'm going to post it, but we'll be covering the defensive side of the football and our favorite, our top 5 fits for this free agency. You're going to want to stay tuned. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. Rate 5 stars. Tell your friends all about the show. Also, if you're a gambler, use promo code UNBEARABLE for 125% back off your first deposit when you use betus.com. That's keyword unbearable. And with that, this is going to be a little short of a show, Mr. PayPal. Yeah. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.